You know, we think of cities as these massive things built from steel, concrete, master plans. But what if I told you that one of the most powerful forces in urban design wasn't an architect's blueprint, but a football? Yeah, a football. Today, we're going to explore this wild idea, how the world's simplest game didn't just entertain our cities, it literally built them.
So, I'll ask you straight up, what builds a city? Your mind probably jumps to steel, concrete, all that stuff. And yeah, you're not wrong, but that is only a tiny piece of the puzzle.
Because the real answer, the real blueprint for so many of the world's greatest places, well, it's way more beautiful and honestly, a lot more chaotic. It wasn't drawn up in some fancy office, it was kicked around in a dusty alleyway, probably with a ball made of stuffed socks.
And that right there gets us to the heart of it all. Football as this accidental urban architect, a powerful, messy, organic force that ended up shaping our cities in ways nobody could have ever planned.
The relationship here is what you'd call symbiotic. It's not a one-way street, right? The city gave football its stage, the communities, the alleyways, the little patches of dirt. But in return, man, football gave those cities a soul, an identity, and eventually, their actual physical structure. They literally grew up together. Okay, so to really get how this happened, we have to go back, way back. But not to the first organized league or anything like that. No, we're going to the unpaved, chaotic, and unbelievably creative playgrounds where this whole thing was born, and where its greatest legends were made. Just listen to this. This isn't some nostalgic quote. This was real life for so many legends. Imagine a young Pele in Brazil. There are no perfect green pitches, no expensive gear. It was just pure passion, a ton of grit, and literally anything that could be kicked. That right there, that was the incubator of genius.
And this really shows you the two different worlds. On one side, you've got the structured, almost sterile environment of a modern academy. And on the other, the chaotic, real world that forged guys like Cristiano Ronaldo on the streets of Madeira or Ronaldo Nazario in the favelas. These places weren't just playgrounds. They were survival schools. They taught a kind of raw instinct and creativity that no perfectly manicured pitch ever could.
So that's the big question, right? How in the world do you get from a kid kicking a sock around in an alley to this billion-dollar global industry that can literally dictate urban planning? How does that small-scale passion explode into something so massive?
Well, the answer, in a word, is the stadium. This is where that personal, street-level passion becomes a massive, collective architectural force. The stadium became the modern cathedral, and cities started to reorient themselves completely around it.
And this impact was truly global. Think about it. A stadium like Wembley basically put a quiet London suburb on the international map. In Johannesburg, Soccer City became the anchor for this huge urban renewal project before the World Cup. These giant structures became new centers of gravity, pulling in transport, commerce, whole communities into their orbit. But, you know, it sometimes came at a cost, like with Rio's Maracanã, a monument to national pride that was built on the foundations of displaced neighborhoods.
And this process creates this incredible ripple effect. Step 1, the colossal stadium gets built. Then, you got to get millions of people in and out, right? So entire transport networks get redrawn. New metro lines, bigger highways. Pretty soon, hotels, bars, shops, they all start clustering around it. A whole economic ecosystem just springs up, and it's all anchored by that one single pitch.
Okay, now to really feel the scale of this whole transformation, let's zoom in on one person's journey, Diego Maradona. He came from Villa Fiorito, one of the most impoverished shanty towns you could imagine outside Buenos Aires. His very first pitch is literally a dirt track. And he ended up here, lifting the World Cup at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City in front of 115,000 people. That journey, from that tiny dirt track to this colossal stage, that's the entire story. That's street to stadium in one man's life.
But of course, the impact wasn't just physical, right? It wasn't just about concrete and steel. The stadiums and the clubs inside them became completely woven into the cultural and even the political fabric of their cities. This was always about more than just a game. Just take FC Barcelona's motto, Més que un club, which means more than a club. You see, during Franco's dictatorship in Spain, the Camp Nou Stadium was one of the only places where the Catalan language and culture could be expressed openly, freely. The club became a symbol of identity, of resistance. It wasn't just a team, it was a powerful political statement.
And this power, it can even go beyond city politics to a national level.
After Ivory Coast qualified for its very first World Cup, the team captain, Didier Drogba, got on live television, knelt down, and begged his country to end its civil war. And for a little while, they did. A football pitch became a platform for peace. Just incredible.
And that brings us all the way back to where we started, doesn't it? Back to this one single idea that connects everything we've talked about. That inside the concrete and the steel of every single colossal stadium in the world, you can still hear the echo of a simple street game. The global spectacle is and always will be built on that chaotic, passionate foundation. So I'll just leave you with this one question. The next time you pass by one of those massive stadiums, what are you going to see? Will you just see a sports venue? Or will you maybe see a monument to a forgotten street, the catalyst for the city built around it? And maybe, just maybe, the echo of a kid kicking a stuffed sock, just dreaming of something more.